So we were asked to do a presentation on our carbon footprints for our upcoming travel to Vietnam. So first I wanted to look at what a carbon footprint is. So I looked up from How Stuff Works, which is just a really simple website on scientific projects, and they defined a carbon footprint as the amount of carbon dioxide that we produce just by going about our daily lives, whether we're driving to work, flipping on light switches, or taking a flight out of town. All of these things rely on the combustion of fossil fuels like oil, coal, and gas. When these fossil fuels burn, they emit greenhouse gases like CO2 that add to global warming. 98% of the atmospheric carbon dioxide comes from the combustion of fossil fuels. So then what did I use for sources when I needed to look up what my carbon footprint was? I looked at 3 sites after discovering that most of the government sites didn't offer very much information whatsoever. I looked at nature.org, Cool Climate from Berkeley, EDU, and TerraPass. Cool Climate had the most options for me, and it was the most specialized. They allowed for specific inputs like my income level, where I lived, the modes of transportation I used, down to how much I spent on my personal shopping to include grocery, personal hygiene, and just regular fun shopping. So this slide is what it gave me for when I looked at TerraPass. And this one said that my average carbon footprint was right around 33 tons of CO2 per year, which compared to the average American was a little bit high, and says the average American uses 27 tons per year, but the world average was 5.5. So, oops. But that was from TerraPass. That was a very generic source that I found. So then when I went to Cool Climate and they offered me a lot more information, the first slide just pulled it up based on where I lived and my income level. And that said that I would use about 30.1 tons per year based on, just those 2 factors alone. So when I went in and added more details into it, it gave me more options, and it calculated, how much I was driving, how much water I used, how much hot water I used, how much I shopped, what I chose to eat for food. So once I specialized all of my own data based on my usage, how I live, my daily life, it came down and said that I would use about 22.2 tons of carbon dioxide per year. And that was on a regular daily basis, my year, based on the amount of travel that I do for my job, for personal use, how often I shop a year, etc. So then I looked at my travel. And on a normal year, I travel a lot for work, so I estimated that, I probably take 750 miles a year on public transit using buses, subways, etc., but probably closer to 7,500 miles via air travel for work purposes and things like that. So that, just my travel alone, was 4.9 tons of carbon dioxide a year. When I calculated for Vietnam, that gave me a total of 964 miles on public transit with our bus ride down to Portland and back. And then air travel was close to 28,000 miles for the year. So that increased my my carbon dioxide use by 8.9 tons per year just by this trip. So this is where I calculated my trips. I used Google Maps, and I calculated from the distance from Portland to Boston and from Boston back to Portland on the bus. Then I took into account that we were going to be flying from Boston to Tokyo, Tokyo to Ho Chi Minh City, Ho Chi Minh City to Da Nang, and then the reverse trip for that. So I came to 19,898 total plane miles for this trip and 214.6 miles for bus. I did not calculate the drive to Portland from Augusta because that is something that I would be doing regardless for class, as well as any additional travel that we'll be doing in the city because we will be taking buses and walking. But I took that as miles that I'd be driving for work anyways. So how would I offset my carbon cost for traveling to Vietnam? Again, like I said, just by this travel, I would be increasing my own carbon footprint by 8.9 tons of CO2. Now, with the Cool Climate website and Berkeley University's website, they actually allow you to go in and click different things that would help reduce your carbon footprint, or you can, buy credits that would just offset it for you. But I decided to try and do it, the organic way and see what I could use to offset it just by making changes in my own daily life. So they offered a bunch of different options, from buying more efficient vehicles to installing solar panels and solar hot water heaters. Well, I rent, so a lot of these just aren't going to work for me. But I figured that I could telecommute to work and work from home using my computer a couple times a week. I can ride my bike to work and use maybe a little bit more public transportation. Just by simply maintaining my vehicles and actually checking my tire pressure and changing my oil more often and air filters and things that I should be doing anyways, that additionally can help offset my carbon footprint a little bit. So I kind of picked a lot to get myself as close to the original carbon footprint as I could, being realistic. So all of the things that are highlighted in green are things that I use to lower my carbon footprint. However, what would I really do? I can say, yep, I'm going to pledge to do this, this, and this, but really it was just to lower it to give myself a realistic number. What I can actually try and do is, while we're overseas, I'm going to try to eat more of the products that are grown in the area so that there is less transportation costs to getting those products there. And we're in Vietnam. We might as well eat the Vietnamese food while we're there. I can turn off the lights. I can try and conserve the energy while I'm in the hotel rooms, the same way that I would at home. So not leaving all of my appliances running and charging while I'm out for the day. I can try and do the exact same thing that I would do at home. Riding a bike to work during the summer months. Granted, it's up a big hill, but I can ride my bike to work, and I could do that on nice days. It's not a far distance, but that would help cut back on some of those carbon emissions. I often travel by myself for work, or two of us in a giant van, and we could probably try and work around that to minimize work-related travel. I could also probably try and, when I get back home in the States, cut down some of the beef and higher carbon products in my diet. And then lastly, I can just wash my clothes in cold water and line dry them so I'm not using as much hot water. And again, just the resources that I used: coolclimate.berkeley.edu, the Cool Climate website, nature.org, TerraPass, How Stuff Works, and Google Maps. Thank you very much.